All the setup is in Engine. The only thing we're still doing in Maya right now is waiting. I think that the golden egg in rigging right now is retargeting, honestly. I don't understand. It's like night and day. Like waiting without NG skin tools is probably 10 times slower than waiting with.
Easy. Well, Todd, thanks for coming on the show, man. This is Todd Hill. He is a lead technical animator at Epic Games and a longtime friend of mine from Blue Sky Studios. So thanks for coming on, man.
Glad to be here.
So what's it like working at Epic Games?
Epic is intense. I can put it that way. It's a lot of extremely talented people. The tech anim side is kind of new for me because I worked in traditional rigging for so long, animation at Blue Sky, and that was more sculpting and pose reading type stuff. And Epic is a lot like this. Is my first time being in games. I was in film for 15 years, so 3 years now in games, and it's completely different rigging style, all joint based, no blend shapes whatsoever. And then we're also setting up the the dynamics, the capes, the long jackets, long hair, anything like that. All has to work in real time. So it's pretty intense, but it's been exciting, like trying something new after doing the sculpting pipeline for so long.
Are you working with Unreal Engine, or are you still working in Maya for most of your work?
We do pretty much everything. All the setup is in Engine. The only thing we're still doing in Maya right now is waiting. So like it's maybe 10 to 20% in Maya and everything else is in Engine.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we use, I think it's a little bit different of a flavor than UEFN, but we use Unreal, all the tools that Unreal supplies. There's nothing really custom that we have access to that the average user out there wouldn't have access to. So everything's done with the software, which is pretty impressive.
So you guys using like the control rig set up in Unreal to create the puppet rigs and all that sort of stuff, or?
We do use control rig. We use a lot of anim dynamics, a lot of rigid body simulation stuff, and we're even getting some cloth stuff in there now, which is like real-time cloth.
That's cool. Is that proprietary, or is it like some sort of chaos cloth type?
It's just whatever cloth is built into Unreal. I don't know if it actually has a name.
Okay.
I think the effects department uses Niagara, but yeah, like I said, like we don't have anything custom just for Fortnite, except for maybe like pipeline tools that move the files around and stuff like that. But we don't have any special plugins or anything. We use whatever the latest release is. I think it's just 5.4. So all that stuff.
So what was it like switching from Blue Sky Studios, where you're just in Maya 100% of the time, to making the transition to Unreal Engine and learning how to use all those tools and all that kind of thing?
It was a pretty big learning curve. It was bigger than I thought it would be. Rigging is rigging. Weights, blend shapes, angle readers. If you can do that stuff, you can do that stuff. But the video game industry has a huge vocabulary or like learning curve to like their language compared to what we used in film.
Yeah, totally.
And it took it. I'm 3 years in now, and it's still taking a while to kind of understand what's going on. I mean, some of that's because we're older dudes now, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't understand some of the lingo, but the first time I heard somebody was sweaty, it kind of, it's like, what's that mean? Really stressed out? And they're like, no, that just means that they try hard. It's like, all right, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. But Epic really is a good place to work. I'm very happy there. And I'm happy I switched into the video game industry. I haven't been in film for 3 years, but I've been seeing what's going on, and it's not looking great.
Oh man, it is tough. So I just finished up at Blizzard. We were working on the World of Warcraft and Diablo 4 cinematics, and so now I'm like looking again for my next gig, and there's like zero character rigging jobs out there at all. So there's some tech artist jobs, technical animator jobs, but I haven't seen one like
Really?
in 4 or 5 months. Yeah, I've been looking for a little while too. Yeah, it's just all, yeah, it's all like tech. I think Leica is doing a film, like, one of those kind of hybrid stop motion type films.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing some CG rigging for that. But dude, like, yeah, you look online, LinkedIn or any of that kind of stuff, there's zero character rigging jobs out there.
Blows my mind. Well, yeah, I guess, I really always thought that riggers were probably the hardest position to find. So
Right.
I guess I always thought that there'd be opportunities for that, but I don't think it's so much the problem that people don't need riggers. It's that there aren't as many studios now, right? Like there's not as many projects. So like before, if there was 100 projects, there'd be work for everybody, and so riggers would always have a position to go to, or modelers or whatnot. But if there's only 10 projects now, then there's more supply than there is demand.
Right.
That's really tough. Oh,
yeah, it's crazy.
Is that just in the film industry, or are you talking about like the game industry as well? Or?
It's mostly film, I think. So yeah, the game industry. So like I would say about a year ago, I would say this transition happened in the last year, because a year ago there were people hitting me up all the time for rigging work, or and thankfully at the time I was busy, but yeah, now it's and the terminology has changed, because before it was like, okay, like we're looking for a character T, we're looking for a rigger. Now it's, hey, we just need a technical animator, we need a technical artist, and I feel like that position is almost kind of blurry, because before it was mainly somebody who was like an expert at the game engine, who could take, put together whatever they need to in Unreal or Unity and set up all the logic, all the blueprints and all that kind of stuff. But now it's kind of like, okay, you need to do that, and you need all the cool character rigging chops as well. And
yeah, you know what? Maybe it's because when I worked at Rhythm and Hughes, we were called technical animators, and all we did was simulation. We didn't do any rigging really. So there was like riggers, and then there was technical animators. It feels like maybe those two have kind of combined to where like you need to be able to rig a character, but then you also need to be able to set up the dynamics that go along with the character.
Yeah.
But yeah, that blows my mind that there's such a lack of work out there right now.
Yeah, it's weird. A lot of the people I know are kind of in the same position. I'm not sure too if it's like maybe some of the more senior level people that maybe are a little bit more expensive compared to some of the younger guys that might obviously want as much of a salary. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's that or what it is. But yeah, I think there's like it's kind of like a weird transitional spot in the industry.
Wow,
for sure.
What are your thoughts on AI?
Yeah, I don't know, man. People ask me that all the time. They're like, I'm like, yeah, you can compute.
Let's start off with some hot takes.
Hot takes with Todd Hill. Yeah, you mentioned to anybody, hey, I work in computer animation, I work in video games. Well, what about AI? Because in the public's mind, they're just like, oh, now I could literally just type in, I want an elephant with like a lollipop in his trunk or whatever, and they think that they get that in a game or a movie or whatever. And they're not too far from the truth, but at this, like at Blizzard, I would say there's machine learning might be a part of the equation, like, to solve some problems, but no one's using like prompt driven AI to generate anything.
Right.
It's all the art department, art directors, everything is 100% art driven. There's no like, let's go into Midjourney and type in, I want a frog with like a record player or whatever. I want a big puffer fish with
a big old puffer fish
playing a guitar or whatever. Yeah, there's none of that. So I don't know. I think there's all these cool demos with like the ML deformers inside the engine. Like you could do like a muscle sync. I've been working on this on the side, like trying to learn the Houdini muscle system and doing like a simulation in there, and then because I want to see like how hard is it to actually do what you see in the demos, like the cool machine learning demo with that guy. I think his name was Emil or something like that. That Unreal or Epic put together. Do you remember seeing any of that stuff?
Muscle stuff. I think so. Was it like a metahuman, like a naked metahuman?
Yeah, looking.
Doing like the back.
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, kind of doing all that stuff and doing like all the cool shoulder stuff, and yeah, it looks amazing. And they have when you download that sample scene in Unreal, they have like all like the source files, even the Houdini source files. You could open it up and take a look at it, but it's man, the learning curve on that is steep, and it doesn't seem to be like it's not like I cranked out like in a week I was able to do this simulation and then bring it into Unreal. So
Right.
I don't know, there's all that cool machine learning deformer type stuff, but it doesn't seem as practical yet as far as like a smaller studio could grab this and then crank out something amazing and then run with it, I don't think it's there yet.
I think at Blue Sky towards the end, we started to look into the ML stuff. And it seems like the best thing that it is good at right now is being DCC independent.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you make a rig in Maya and you need to put it into Houdini, you can train it in ML and then bring it into Houdini with just the ML node, and you'll still get the same deformations. But I guess it optimizes a little bit. It optimizes your stack a little bit because you're not going to have like 4 skin clusters and 2 blend shapes and how many FFDs. You're just going to have the one node, but it's also very black boxy, so you don't have a whole lot of control.
Right. Yeah, that reminds me of like the Blue Sky days with like all the facial system and like all those like 10 different blend shapes that piped into one rig, and they all had their little sub rigs for each blend shape. Remember all that stuff?
Oh yeah. We were working on a reader towards the end that used was it RBF, radio base? What is it? What is
radial
RBF?
basis function?
Yeah, radial basis function. And again, that one even was a little black boxy because you'd basically like move the shoulder forward, sculpt a pose, move the shoulder up, sculpt a pose, move the shoulder back, sculpt a pose. And then it would, using the RBF, figure out how to blend those. Like you wouldn't have control over the curves or anything. It was just the RBF was finding based on all the different poses you fed into it, it was finding kind of the best interpolation that it could. And sometimes you got good results and sometimes you didn't, but the only way to correct for that was to like add a new pose.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only way to change how it's interpolating. So.
Right. Yeah. There was no way to control how it interpolated from like 90 to like 140 or whatever, 145. You had to add an extra pose in there to help it along, kind of.
Yeah, to like figure out what you want that arc to be as it's doing it.
Right.
But it's still, I mean, it's funny. I feel like every other, and not that rigging hasn't made a whole lot of advances in my career, but like when you look at the advances in materials and the advances in modeling and rendering and all these things, it's like rigging is still just moving joints and points around.
It really is. Yeah. It's like, it's still, I do rigging dojo sometimes, and I mentor students, or I'll teach like little classes or courses. Mm-hmm. And it's still very much like, here's the way you make like a IKFK chain, like all the same basic stuff that was happening in like early 2000s. It's almost unchanged until now,
It seems like a lot of companies are trying to like, I think that the golden egg in rigging right now is retargeting, honestly. Yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot of advancements in rigging. Like as far as, I mean, you can always save out your weights, you can save out your blend shape, like your deltas and whatnot. And, you can.
What are the joint counts that you guys are dealing with? Are they pretty high, like to support like a shoulder or like a hip area?
Not really, because we have to stay. Because we do a BR and we've got 100 characters that could be on the screen at the same time. We have to keep our rigs pretty much as performant as possible. So it's like I forget. I don't know what our actual budget is, but like we can't do the kind of stuff in VR that you'd be able to do in like a Uncharted game or something like that. There's just those characters just take up too much of the RAM and too much of the processing and whatnot that we wouldn't be able to do because all of our users, you know, they want it 120 frames per second, 150 frames per second as fast as I can get it. So we need to keep them kind of as basic as we can. So it we don't use blend shapes. It's just not feasible. Pretty much everything's joint driven, helper joints, clever ways of using control rig. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know exactly what I'm allowed to say.
No, I get it. Yeah, that's totally fine. We don't want you to like in the news like Todd Hill is fired for releasing all the proprietary information. Yeah,
I don't think I've said anything that's like trade secrets or anything. Like everybody knows that control rig's in there and
right. Yeah,
and that stuff, and that we use R-band, or do you know that term?
No, I don't.
R-band just means rigid body animation. So like basically adding dynamics onto joints.
Oh,
so
cool.
Like using like if we're gonna do a cape or something, then we'll put a joint chain down the cape and then add a rigid body to each one so it swings around and does stuff like that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Do you guys is it all like one mesh, or do you have like separate meshes for like the body geo and like the clothing items and things like that, or is it like
it's broken up into a head and a body, and then there's some other parts depending, like if the character has a tail or something, the tail might be a separate part as well. I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of Fortnite models actually out there on the internet that you can just download because data scrapers go through and like
suck them out.
Yeah, they'll just data mine the models and pull them out and then drop them on I don't know, like one of the asset sites, and you can just download them.
That's nuts.
But you can see in them how kind of like low poly they are. I don't know much about the materials team, but like the stuff that the tech art at Epic is basically animated materials. So between them, the tech art team and the materials team, they just come up with some of the most amazing stuff with shaders that makes everything look super cool. And we're always hoping, like as a rigger, especially coming from film, it's always like I'm trying to push the fidelity of the rigs, but then that performance still comes in. I don't know how many points our models have, but I think it's under 20,000. Like it's pretty low res compared to like a film asset or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always tough. I feel like to make the switch from like super high res juicy stuff to you get like this really low quality character and they're like, make it look awesome. You're like, all right.
Yeah, make it look awesome without any facets.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I'm actually surprised. I would think that Unreal that would have, or like somebody would have come up with a 2D post-processing thing to kind of remove facets.
Interesting.
You know? Like an anti-aliasing kind of thing, basically a filter that you could put on the volume, the post-processing volume.
That'd be sweet.
Nobody take that from me because that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna write this down. I gotta go.
Good talking to you, Todd. See you later.
So at Blue Sky, so back in the day, Todd was one of the first guys to really get into C++ and he really nerded out. He doesn't come across as like a power nerd, but he really is. And he was writing plugins for Maya, some crazy skin deformation stuff, all sorts of really cool things. Are you still getting into that, or have you like left that behind?
Shout out to Adam Burr because he was the supervisor that helped me write those things at the time. But not a whole lot. I've gone the leadership path, and now it's a lot more about managing personalities and helping my reports grow and whatnot. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Like I'm not doing any hands-on creative
So it's
stuff anymore.
less on the box, more about just the team and making
More
sure.
about, I think that maybe that's kind of the path I've taken. I was a lead at Blue Sky also, but I still miss doing the hands-on work. And then now I do sometimes kind of feel like I'm missing out on doing the hands-on work, but I like to see the growth of my reports and, some of the younger artists in the industry just really kicking ass. And there's even a person on our team that got some bone tattoos on their arms going from the elbow down to the wrist, like a mile.
Serious?
Yeah.
That's hardcore, man.
Yeah, I know. I love it. It's so great to see that kind of excitement for rigging. But I don't know. I mean, like, you've been teaching. Do you think that there's been a fall off in interest in rigging or growth in interest in rigging? Or
I don't know. I think it's been like we're like the weird. I always equate rigging as like the bass player guy and the band. I'm into guitars and all this stuff. There's always like the guitar and like the vocalist up front, the cool guys, maybe they're like the animators.
Interesting.
Right? Like you remember the crew at Blue Sky? Like there was a very outgoing, like the animators had their whole air. Even that part of the studio was all decorated different. It was just different. And like
Absolutely.
we were like the kind of we're like a mix between like an engineer and an artist too. So there's like, we like to get quiet and just nerd out about something. But I don't know. I think there's still a draw to it. But I think it's weird because like with things like MetaHuman and stuff like that, I think people are almost like, oh, like rigging's an afterthought. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We just get this stuff for free online, and you get these amazing rigs, and not too many people are thinking about it. They're like, how can I?
Until they need to do a quadruped.
Until they need to do it, right? Or they
a bird, or
or like some sort of a different character. I mean, there's all these cool, even with MetaHuman, there's these cool tools to transfer a MetaHuman mesh to your own custom mesh, or to, people have written some really neat. I forgot the names of all of them, but yeah, there's some. I'll try to look them up and post them in the comments or the description. But yeah, that's
all the words down below.
Yeah, and all the words down below. Maybe there'll be some links, maybe there won't be. But
do you guys write words down below? Is that what's going on?
Is this the internet?
Is this where I go for the rigging stuff?
Right. Yeah. I can't tell. I don't. Yeah, I think just people take it for granted a little bit more, maybe, and maybe that's just like the old curmudgeon in me being like, back in our day, we used to have to rig every character that we saw.
Oh yeah, man. Like, we for years tried to get NG skin tools at Blue Sky, and we just, for one reason or another, we're not allowed to have it. And then we use NG skin tools at Epic, and it's like,
it's awesome,
night
man.
and day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a cool idea. Like, take the concept of Photoshop and apply it to painting skin weights, and it just freaking works great. And it's so fast. Even at Blizzard, they didn't use it.
I don't understand. It's like night and day. Like, waiting without NG skin tools is probably 10 times slower than waiting with NG skin
easy.
Tools.
Yeah, and God forbid you have to like make a fix. You can like just put a new layer, put your fix on, and like blend it in how you want, and A/B test, like all sorts of cool things that you could do. It's just wrestling with. Yeah, it's just. I'm surprised Maya hasn't incorporated that.
All you kids out there, use NG skin tools.
For sure.
Support NG, whoever he is, or they are, or she is, or whoever.
The guy. He's like living on an island now, like collecting his money from like the 100 riggers that are in the planet. I'm sure like tons of people use it, but
I think he made an update that a lot of people were upset about, like the smoothing algorithm or something like that. But I think that's why Blue Sky didn't want to use it, is because it was only one person supporting it, and it's like,
it makes sense.
Still, like, I honestly can't believe Autodesk, unless he turned it down, like that Autodesk hasn't tried to buy it.
I know. Yeah, it's such a huge game changer. Like for all my freelance stuff, all the little projects I do on the side, that's 100% what I use. I use that, and I use Brave Rabbit's, blend shapes tool. So you could do like corrective shapes. You could do a whole face setup. You can mirror all your drivers and all your.
Oh,
It has
nice.
like RBF stuff in there. It has set driven key stuff. It has like all the.
So it has
stuff
readers. It's not just blend shape management.
Yeah, it's blend shape management, and it has a few. It has like a vector angle reader. It has an RBF solver. It also does like simple SDKs and things like that. And
What about for your motion rigs? What do you use to build your motion rigs?
so I've been using Advanced Skeleton. A good friend of mine, he's going to be on the show next, actually. His name is Tim Coleman. He used to work at ILM. But yeah, he turned me on to Advanced Skeleton. Because in the past, I would try to write my own little, I know you've written your own little rigging systems and things like that. But yeah, Advanced Skeleton is so you just basically click out your, they call it a fit skeleton. It's like your deformation joints, kind of. So like all the main ones, not your twist joints or anything. And then with like attributes and labels and things like that, it just builds the rig on top of that, and then you can just rebuild it and how you need to.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really fast.
Yeah, mine. I mean, you can only build a limb rig or a spine rig or a chain rig so many times before you're just like, oh my god, I'm done doing this. But, like, seems like this Advanced Skeleton does a pretty good job. I haven't played around with it yet, but I haven't been doing a whole lot of rigging in my free time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
However, is it modular?
Kind of. So it's I could do a little quick demo of it actually if you want. Let me just blaze up my Maya here. 1 second, just to show you, because it's pretty neat the way it works. And it's like they have, you can download it for free. And if you're like, it's pretty much the honor system. So it's like, hey, if you're using this for professional work, like, please pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
How much is it to pay for it?
I don't know. Let me bring it up. It's not that much.
Maybe you can get some Advanced Skeleton sponsorship or something.
Right. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so for a freelancer, it's pricey, but it's like, hey, if you get a job and you're rigging a character for a couple grand or something, like you could pay for it with this, but you could just download it and play around.
Permanent license.
I think this is more of like for a studio.
Oh, that's okay.
More, and then so just for like one person.
Have you seen the Mixamo stuff?
I haven't played with Mixamo at all, really. Have I heard of it?
I've seen some AI demos of like people using Midjourney to make an image and then taking it over to, I forget the names of the 3D AIs, but it turns an image into a 3D model. And then they take that 3D model and they take it into Mixamo and they just kind of place where you want the wrists and shoulders and stuff, and then it will do a really quick auto rig on it. And then Mixamo has a whole library of animation cycles that work on the skeletons that it built. So like within 20 minutes, a half an hour, you've got a really terrible model doing a bunch of motion capture stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think I think there is like the line there where it's like the quality level. I think people get it in their head like, oh, we could just rig a couple characters and get it done in half a day, and then it's like it doesn't really work like that. But
that's true. But for the video game industry, it's definitely closer. I mean, we had like 4 to 6 month schedules on our rigs at Blue Sky, whereas
yeah, what's your schedules on
video game schedules are like a character a week, character every 2 weeks, like. Because they don't have to, the fidelity isn't there. Like we're not,
right.
I forget what it's called. Pixel punching is the proper term for it.
Proper? There's another term.
Pixel pushing. I think that's what the one for the kids is for.
Right.
But yeah, we don't really do that as much at Epic because there's just, I don't know, 1,800 characters in Fortnite or something like that.
That's insane.
yeah, we're putting out characters every 2 weeks with a new update in the store. So we're just gotta churn and churn, and we don't sit on our laurels. Like we're not like a kind of company that likes to just, okay, we've made this product, let's just take in the money that we made from the product. We're constantly trying to improve them and make them better and whatnot. But coming from film, like making suggestions about like, oh, what should we do about how much the lip corner tucks into the cheek, and it's just like, that looks good. Like
They're not going to sit there and have like 5 meetings about it.
Yeah, we're not going to sit with the animators for 2 hours to talk about 5 vertices. So
that's awesome. That's refreshing to hear. A couple of places I've been at are still very much like, oh, let's run that past the art director, let's run it past the anim soup, or let's all have a meeting about that, and then like it's like the smallest detail sometimes, and you're just like, we need to get this done. Like, you told me it's Thursday, it needs to be done tomorrow, and we're still talking about this.
I mean, the leg doesn't move yet, but the eye will look really good.
Right. What's the culture like at Epic? Is it is everybody working remote, or are some people in studio and some people remote?
It's a mix. There's a lot of people at headquarters that still go in, but for the more senior people, we're kind of allowed to kind of work from where we need to. I think, I don't know for sure, but I think that maybe there's like if Epic has a branch in your state, and that's that kind of thing. I think most companies are that way, but Epic has so many branches that kind of work from wherever. But the culture is great. It is it's very, let's be the best. Let's make the coolest stuff that we can make, but not burn people out.
That's awesome.
So like, especially coming from, Rhythm and Hues, which was a great company also. But I mean, my first job, I was working 60 hours a week, 12 weeks in a row. So yeah, I don't have that energy anymore.
No more OT dinners. Remember Blue Sky? There'd be like the feeding trough, and everybody would come out at 6 o'clock and like.
Oh man, those were fun times though. Like you and me just working late and having stuff in the fridge that's just going bad and starting to stink everything up.
Whose mayonnaise is this? It's definitely not mine. Oh, it says Mohegan Lake on it. Is that where you live, Jeff?
Todd, why are there tuna cans in the trash?
Oh, dude. Todd used to eat tuna, and he would drain the juice into the garbage.
And apparently the house crew decided that, or they just didn't realize that there was stuff in it because maybe there was no trash.
Yeah,
so it sat around for a week, and oof.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Good times.
Yeah, dude. I guess that's a downside of like not working in an office, is like you don't get like little fun in between stuff. But
like if I was in my 20s now, I would be very disappointed about missing out on that. I think in your 20s and even your early 30s, like there's just a learning about collaborating and being considerate and like thinking about what the other person might need and whatnot, that if you don't work together in an environment, then it's very easy over something like Zoom to just be like, just give me what I need right now and then move on.
Yeah, it doesn't get as personal for sure.
Exactly, the humanity's gone a little bit. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the industry goes in 10 to 15 years, and just all the industries with these poor kids that had to go through the pandemic and have never really learned how to collaborate or just work with other people, work on a team. It's really weird.
Yeah. So, like you live in New York, I live in Idaho, middle of nowhere, kind of. Well, not really. I live like in a normal area, but compared to like the industry,
grocery stores and everything.
Yeah, we got a Costco. We got a Walmart.
We got one of them Walmarts.
Yeah, we got a Walmart.
You still hunting some elk out there?
I did shoot an elk last year. It was kind of an intense process. Like this. So I moved out here in 2013, and I was like, okay, I want to get into hunting. I want to see what it's like to get my own food, like learn all about it, all that stuff. And then, Jake started getting a little bit bigger, and then we had the twins, and it was like, okay, that's like game over, right? So then, after meeting Rachel, and then we have a friend of ours that's like, hey, I go to this, there's a ranch, and you can like pay him money basically, and you can go shoot an elk, and the elk like lives in like a good place, it has like a good life, and you're getting your meat from a place that's, where it's coming from, and you can take part of that. So I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. So I got my rifle out, like I took it to the range and like practiced like zeroing it in, make sure I could hit where I want to hit and all that stuff. And then the ammo that I bought was, I guess, target ammo versus hunting ammo. So like a target ammo just meant to go accurate, fly accurately and just punch through paper, but it doesn't expand. Whereas hunting ammo, when it hits, it'll expand and cause as much damage as possible to ethically like kill the animal as fast as possible.
Right.
But I didn't get that kind, so I got the target ammo.
Have you hunted with the target ammo?
Yeah, so I show up to them like all ready. I'm ready to go, and like I shoot this elk, and my buddy who's like an experienced hunter is like, he has his binoculars. He's like, yeah, you hit it good, man. It's gonna drop any second. Like 10 minutes later, it's like still like hanging out. I'm like, oh crap! I like shot this thing, and it's like, me, I like animals and stuff. Like I eat meat. I'm not a PETA guy or anything by any means, but I wanted to see what the whole hunting process was about. So it's part of like things like wounded, but like not dying, right? So then,
where'd you hit it?
I hit it where you're supposed to. It's like basically right here. It's like, in the ribs, heart, lungs, they all kind of like stack up on each other. Yeah, and you're supposed to kind of hit it right there. And yeah, I hit it where you're supposed to, but it didn't cause enough trauma, I guess, to take it down fast enough. So I took 2 more shots at it, and finally, like it died. But
did that taint the meat at all?
No, I don't think it did. I know some people say like if you spook the animal or if you stress it out, it could taint it. I think people talk about that. Like if there's an animal that's down and you try to chase it because you want to get it before it's dead, and it gets up and runs away. Like I think that might be what they're talking about. But yeah, we just kind of hung back and let it, go through the process. So that was kind of unpleasant, but we have a freezer full of elk meat still.
Nice.
Like, yeah, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it was a crazy experience.
Weren't you, I thought you were hunting with like bow and arrow or
I tried to. I was never successful with that. It was just like, it was more like going out in the woods and walking around with your bow and like not really seeing anything because
as we all do.
As one would. Maybe
I know in New York City, I walk around with my bow all the time.
Dude, there'd be like a SWAT team on the corner.
Yeah. No, that's funny though.
Yeah, man, different world out here. But yeah, I guess I got into that because like talking about working remote, like it makes it so you don't have to, go move to, Epic, I guess, is in North Carolina, where.
Yeah, the headquarters is, but I think there's 85 branches around the world or something like that. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Yeah, I started following this Australian couple on YouTube, and they bought a really small boat that they live on, and they just sail around the Great Barrier Reef and they catch fish, and that's how they live. And like, man, that is very appealing lifestyle.
For sure.
But then you see the guy in season 1 and he's like my weight, and then you see him in season 4 and he's like a quarter of the weight.
He's like 90 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wonder, like these YouTube like families, like our kids watch all these like YouTube families that have these channels, and you wonder like what's it like behind, like when the camera's not rolling? Are they like yelling at each other, like, or is it you know, like what's
Yeah.
their life like? You know, I'm sure it's not all like, hey, we're awesome, we're here in the reef shooting fish and whatever. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. I
normal.
think they maybe did like one behind the scenes episode, and it definitely doesn't, like, obviously they put on the best footage and like the most ideal lifestyle of that, but
Right.
at the same time, it's like, I've lived in New York City for, I mean, if you include Connecticut, 17, 18 years now. It's like, I
That's
don't know.
insane, dude.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
been
know if
that long.
I love it here. I 100% love it here, but then half of me is like, maybe it's time to try a new lifestyle, like a more natural lifestyle. But I think I'd go
Well,
insane if I didn't have this many people around me.
I mean, you could always like Airbnb out your place, or I don't know if you could, but then like move out, give it a shot, you know, like see what it would be like to.
That's what my therapist says I should do. I told him about my beach fantasy, and he's like, well, just go live somewhere for a month. See if
Yeah.
you still like it. And I was like, yeah, that's an
Yeah,
idea.
a lot of people like the idea. A lot of people move out here. There's people that have moved out here and like got property and then got like a bunch of animals and like try to have like a little farm life. And then it's like, yeah, it's hard. And then there's winter and it snows and you got to go out there and take care of the animals and it's 20 degrees out and it's like, then they move back to wherever they got to move back to because they're like, yeah, it's not the greatest, but
Yeah, nothing's ever as good as you want it to be. But at the same time,
yeah,
I'm all about living as much of my life in different ways, like experiencing as much of my life of this
uh-huh.
world that I can, I guess. Like, I don't know if did I send you the picture? I just recently went to Spain.
Oh, awesome. I don't think you did.
Let me see really quick here if I can send it to you, because I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Oh, is that when you're on the boat with like 20 girls?
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did send that one. Yeah, I'll see. Do you mind if I post it up, or is that? Yeah, we don't have to post that.
It's totally fine. Like, I asked them, because I was actually I went to Majorca and I bought a drone, and I wanted to get into, like, after watching that Australian couple, I'm like, maybe I can make some videos that people, just travel videos or whatnot.
Mhm.
So I was just getting good footage. I was on the boat. I did a boat tour. I was the only guy that got put on this boat tour with 9 women. And I asked them all, I said, hey, I've got a drone. I've got this nice camera. I've got a GoPro. I'm going to be taking footage and photos. I guess if any of you don't want to be in it, let me know and I'll make sure I don't shoot you or anything. And they were all like, hell no, like, take those pictures, man. We want all that. Like, this is
So like, here's my hashtag, like my use, like, please include me in your.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a blast, man. It was really fun.
That's crazy. When you were doing that, did your like production mind take over? Like, did you stress about it at all?
Yeah, it was all like, what drone shot could I do? They wanted a shot where they were all like laying next to each other, and I was like, well, we'll do a shot where it starts close to the boat and zooms all the way out really quickly, and then we'll do one where it starts and goes up, and then you put it on the automatic focus, so it was doing nice circles around the boat and everything while I'm waving at it. And yeah, I mean, photography's always been a huge hobby of mine, so it was just like a dream come true, just taking pictures and video of beautiful women on a catamaran in Majorca with like aqua water, and
that's insane, man.
It was a good day.
Yeah, I'd love to see some of that footage. Are you gonna put it up anywhere, like Instagram or anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully do a video of Barcelona, Majorca, Madrid, and then probably a shorter video of just my experience on the boat tour, and see if maybe the boat tour company wants to use it for promotion or something. I'm more of the type of person who likes to do a lot of little things and try new things rather than pixel pushing every one of my artworks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't mean to like put anybody else down. Some of my best friends are, pixel pushers, but for me, it's more about learning than the result of what comes out of it, I guess.
All about the journey, man, right?
All about the journey. Everybody's journey ends. You got to enjoy it while you can.
Dude, 100%, man. Yeah, it's like one of those weird things you start to realize later in life, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna die one day. Like, what?
Yeah, and even more so, like, what I've gotten into recently is, like, I think the first 40 years of my life, it was all about like, oh, I can't wait till this happens. I can't wait till that happens. I can't wait till this happens. And then you get to a point where you're like, if that's how you live your life, you're always waiting for something to happen rather than just appreciating what you have already.
Experiencing it.
Yeah. And just being present and being there. And yeah, it's very important
100%,
stuff.
man. That's awesome.
So back to rigging.
Yeah. We went the deep dive.
Yeah. As we always did back in the day. It's like we're sitting right next to each other again.
Yeah, man. But you're more handsomer now, I would say. Like you said.
You are too, my friend. I was going to do, you want something for your fans here? This will be
good. Let's see it.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hopefully it won't take me too long.
Yeah, it was right before I left.
Look at that. Look at that man right there. Wow.
No gray in that beard.
The old one-eye wink.
That's hilarious, man.
And then the Blue Sky crew.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, Ian did the best Photoshop job ever. It's so good. I'm going to snapshot this one and send it to Brendan because I don't know if he remembers this.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you, like when you're working, like you said, you take an hour walk every day. Do you like take a break from work and go walk, or is that like after or before work?
No, that's when Blue Sky closed. It was jarring for all of us because, we'd been there so long, like 15 years at the same job. A lot of us were just lost. We didn't know what to do. So we went to Central Park one day and just walked around one of the loops for like 3.5 hours. There was probably like 6 or 7 of us.
Oh, crazy.
No idea what we were doing with our lives, just talking and hanging out with each other. And I've had anxiety since I was 16. I've been on meds since I was 25. So I really wanted to figure out how I could, I knew I was getting older. Worse things are going to happen. How can I deal with this? And I learned that one of the best ways to deal with anxiety is to not stay put. Like as soon as I found out about that, I basically went straight to my couch, put blankets on me, had my laptop on me, and just didn't want to talk to anybody. Just wanted to just curl up in a ball and not do anything. And what I learned was getting out and going for walks, talking to people, just basically doing all the opposite things that your mind is telling you to do when you're really anxious. It got me out of a funk. So if I don't go for that walk every day, it almost makes it twice as bad to deal with the rest of the day versus going for that walk, getting my mind clear. Depending on whatever you want to call it, meditation, yoga, I don't know, all those things. They're all in one form or another, just a way to calm your mind and make sure that you're present and where you are and whatnot, if that makes sense. Yeah,
for sure. So I lost my wife in 2021, and after that I did some EMDR therapy. That's where they do I forgot what it stands for, but they like have you hold these like little buzzer things in your hands, and it's supposed to stimulate both sides of your brain. It's like when you process stuff, you're able to kind of process it properly, I guess. And I think like walking, it's kind of the same thing. You're using your body, you're like stimulating your brain in the same kind of way, and it helps you like process through like whatever stuff is.
That's cool. I've never heard of that kind of treatment before.
Yeah, it's called EMDR. I think it's helpful. It helps you deal with like past traumas and all kinds of things like that pop up. Like when something happens in life and it makes you feel a certain way, and you're like, crap, why am I having such a strong reaction to that? Why am I so pissed about that? Why do I feel hurt when somebody said that? Oh, when I was a kid, XYZ happened. And it's kind of like one of those things that helps you go through those past traumas, I guess, and help you feel that stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll probably look that up. I never heard of that. I started around the same time, I also started seeing a therapist. And I think that was probably one of the best things I ever did because
100%, man.
yeah, it gets you to look at things in a different way. It gets you to, it's like, I'm sure a million people say it this way, but it's like working out for your brain, basically.
Right. Yeah, it's like people think that we just intuitively know how to handle stress and anxiety and freaking the onslaught of all this stuff that comes on us, the news, whatever, COVID, whatever is happening, right? Like we should just be able to handle that as a man or as a woman or whatever. But you need help. You need training. My wife and I do jujitsu. Like, we do it mostly for fun and for fitness, but it's also self-defense. Like, you don't just know how to fight somebody. Somebody has to teach you that. It's the same thing. You gotta learn
how you get to beat the shit out of your spouse.
Yeah, well, how was that choke earlier today? It was pretty deep. Like, I almost passed out. You had it set in there pretty good.
You gave me a great elbow in the groin the other day. That worked out really well.
Yeah, our coach calls it marriage counseling. Like, whenever we pair up, he's like, "You two, marriage counseling."
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's smart, man. That's cool. It's cool you're open about it too. I think some people feel weird about talking about that stuff, and it's like, we're all human beings. We all struggle with this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm I definitely have a spiritual side, but I'm a very scientific and logical person, and I look at it. Even if you want to take it that way, it's like our civilization and our society is advancing way faster than our biology. So like our biology basically evolved to the point where, hey, I'm in a cave. I need to stay away from that tiger. I need to go hunt something to catch food. Our biology has not evolved to what happens if I'm being bombarded by ads all day. We're not evolved to deal with the amount of stuff that our brain has to take in every single day.
Yeah, like all the sources for dopamine hits or whatever, or just being able to order any kind of food you want any time of the day. Even in where I live in Idaho, it's like you can still kind of get whatever you want any time of the day, and maybe not any time of the day, but yeah, it's like just that stress in itself, or social media, all the things, all the scrolling.
To all you out there, don't watch YouTube.
Yeah, definitely don't watch this channel.
Do you have a name for your channel yet?
Yeah, Vertex Theory. So,
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's a brilliant name.
Well done. Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, really
cool. Yeah, I figured while I have some time between gigs, let's do something. Spread information. I think people find this stuff interesting. I think at least there should be some people check it out.
You having fun? It looks like my video feed's getting a little grainy though.
You look good over here.
Hey Google, turn on the lights.
Okay, turning on 11 light.
That's a little better.
Sorry, it looks
like
tree isn't available right now.
It's because it's not Christmas time, Google.
I don't know.
Google.
I found its results on search.
Todd has a strange relationship with his Google.
She wouldn't put out last night, so. Yeah, what else?
I guess a good question would be what advice would you offer any young artist or that's man, I'm dying to work at Epic Studios. How do I get in? What do I need to have? Is there a reel or is it, what are they looking for these days?
I would say give up, because by the time you get into college, then AI will be able to do everything that they want it to do.
You might as well just go shoot yourself now.
Give up. Yeah, I would say I guess the one thing I've learned with art, that I remember being a college student and thinking asking similar questions to other artists, what do I need to do? What do I need to practice on? Stuff like that. It's basically the answer is there's no shortcut to art. You just got to put in the hours, find what you like to do and put in as many hours into it as you can.
That's it.
For rigging, it would definitely help for you to learn anatomy, understand how the joints work, how bones slide over top of each other, how muscles pull. I am not a fan of the fax system. I know it's the industry standard now. Hot take from me. And I think there's a few other people out there that would probably agree with me that it is extremely hard to art direct fax. That's kind of off topic, but I don't know if you had to do stuff with fax. It's the worst. Like the setup that we had at Blue Sky, I think is the best for artistic animation stylized things. I don't know about, like, I don't have a ton of experience in super hyper realism, but yeah, just corner up, corner down, corner out, corner in. Like you're
just kind of moving parts of the face around. You're not worried about, well, the human face can't actually move in that way.
Right.
What makes it look good? What's going to give a strong emotion?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's actually funny because I think video games and film are similar. What's different is realism versus characterization. Like, you wouldn't want a animation rig for an animated feature to work like a fax system. I don't think there's any animator on the world that would want to animate an animated character that way. At least none of the ones that I know.
Right.
Because it's all about appeal. I don't know about for the effects industry. I mean, obviously you have to create appeal, but you also have to make it look real. So there's a fine line between those two. And it seems like also, I guess for motion capture, fax is probably one of the best systems because the motion capture translates directly to whatever you're doing with fax. But
right.
If you're going to get into the industry, learn what fax is, apparently, because I didn't know it. I never heard that word mentioned or that anagram mentioned once at Blue Sky. And then all of a sudden I'm interviewing and everybody's like, do you know fax? Do you know what fax is?
Like, can I send a fax? You mean like pick up the phone and stick a paper in?
You're like, no, but let me tell you about my friend named Nacho. He's really good at sending faxes. But yeah, just practice. I know it's not what any student wants to hear because there's no easy answer to it. But yeah, you just gotta put the time in, and most likely the more time you put in, the more you'll get out of it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, dude, thanks for coming on the show, man. It's been an honor, and always good seeing you. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. This has been great to catch up. We need to not stay so distant so long.